recording of the 9 o'clock CIS130 Section 8 class. Somewhat belated since we already had the class and I'm doing this afterwards. So we're working on Excel. We were working on the next to the last requirement for the test material, which was do a percentage calculation and use an absolute reference. Both of those are related. We already covered actually how to do the percentage, but I will cover that up again. We have our percent calculation, which is right here, J4 divided by J14. That is the total for this particular category, food dining room, versus the total for all sales down here in J14. And that looks fine. But when we autofill to get the rest of the percentages for that line, doesn't work so well because we get all of these div 0 errors. I want to explain why that happens. So if we go into our formula, our correct formula, then you can see the cells that are referenced, J4 and J14, and you've got the blue one and the red one. The blue one is 2 cells to the left of where the formula is. So you get a formula, you come over 2 cells to the left, that's the first one. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You have the red cell is 2 cells to the left and 10 cells down. When we go to the next formula down, the one that has the error, that's J5 and J15. And you can see that what it has done is it has copied the formula, but it has changed the cell references so that we have, instead of J4 and J14, we've got J5 and J15, because J5 is 2 cells to the left and J15 is 2 cells to the left and 10 cells down. Unfortunately, there's not a number in there, so we get the division 0 error. So that needs to be fixed. If you look at the rest of these cells, you can see the same thing. Each one has been, the references are copied. The formula is copied, but the references are changed, but they are in the same relative position as the original. They are still 2 cells to the left and 2 cells to the left and 10 cells down. So every one of them is like that, and so we're dividing by the wrong number in all of these other formulas because Excel has moved the reference. So we want the reference to stay the same. Well, fortunately, Excel provides us with a way to do that. So what we do is get into the formula. We can either double click into the formula like so and put the cursor someplace in the reference that we're interested in, which is J14, because that's the one that's wrong. So we can put the cursor pretty much anywhere in there. You can also put the cursor up in the formula bar instead of in the cell itself, and that works as well. So what you want to do is for the quick and easy method is use the key F4. So I'm going to press the F4 key. And you see that it has inserted some dollar signs in the reference. The dollar signs have nothing to do with currency or money of any sort. They are just symbols that Excel uses to indicate that this reference should not be changed. That's called an absolute reference, and it just means that you can copy it anywhere you want to, but Excel is not going to play with the references. It's going to leave it just exactly the way it is, which is exactly what we want. The F4 key has other things that it can do. If you hit it again, you see that now we only have one dollar sign, which is in front of the row number. And that means that the column number can change. The column that J could be something else if we were copying this out, for instance, sideways instead of vertically. But the row number will stay the same. And if we hit the F4 again, it switches it around to where now the column will not change, but the row number will. And if we do it again, it takes it back to a pure relative reference. So in this case, we don't really care about the column because we're going to be in the same column anyway. So, relative to our formula, the column stays the same whether it's absolute or not. But it doesn't hurt anything to make it absolute. So if it do our F4, and we could just make the row number absolute, and that will work just as well. Then we can come over here, get our autofill handle, and fill down. I don't need that 100%. Okay, so now we have decent percentages for everything. And the exercise is complete. What you want to do with this now, I'm going to save it. Close this. And now we have our top level folder. Okay, so let's get this up here. The Productivity Programs 1 folder is what you should be submitting, except you can't submit a folder. So this folder has an Excel folder and a Word folder. It has the assignment requirements document in it as well, which we don't really need. So you don't need to submit that, but it doesn't hurt anything. And in the Excel practice, we've got the Excel spreadsheet that we just finished. We also have a shortcut to the practice assignment thing outside. Again, doesn't hurt anything for that to be in there. The Word has all of these images in there as well as the Word document. They don't need to be there. It doesn't hurt anything if they're in there. And the Word practice is what you should be submitting. So the only thing you actually need is just the Word document in the Word folder, the Excel spreadsheet in the Excel folder, and both of those folders in the Productivity Programs 1 folder. And then you right-click on the Productivity Programs 1 folder, go down to the Send To menu item, and that should give you a sub-menu, and you want to go to Compressed or Zipped folder. You click on that, and now it has created a file, a zip file, from the Productivity Programs 1 folder and that is what you will submit through Blackboard. If you need some guidance on exactly how to do that, which you should be familiar with that by now, but we can go to the Blackboard. I think I've got a Blackboard thing up here. And you're in section 8. So we will go down to the productivity programs, content assignment 1. And click on the title there. And you want to attach that productivity programs 1 file. So the easy way to do that is just to get the zip file, not the folder. Don't try to submit a folder. It doesn't like that. Go to productivity programs 1 and drag it into the drop area here. And there you have it. You can also go to the browse my, if it's not that handy, you can go to browse my computer and you can navigate to the zip folder, zip file, and submit it that way. And then you go down here to submit.
Someone here to work on some leaks that we have. Supposed to meet his brother here.